Before we begin, I'd like to forewarn viewers that this will not be a comprehensive video of all cut locations. Doing an in-depth video like that would honestly take much more time than I currently have. If you're interested in watching an extremely in-depth analysis of New Vegas cut content, I highly encourage you to check out Triangle City's videos on New Vegas. Now, with that out of the way, let's dive into the video. Hello everyone and welcome back to another installment in the Cut Content Encyclopedia. Today, we'll be wishing for a nuclear winter in Obsidian's Fallout New Vegas. The development of New Vegas is notorious for being a rocky endeavor, with the development cycle known to be rushed and incomplete by the game's launch, resulting in a lot of content ultimately being cut from the final game. Despite this, fans flocked to the wastelands of the Mojave countless times over. Thanks to these dedicated fans, many mods reincorporate cut elements in order to provide a more fully realized New Vegas. So, we'll be looking at those mods as they appear. Alright, let's crack open the Fallout New Vegas Cut Content Encyclopedia and see what all we're missing in the fan-favorite entry.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Big Winner of the Tops has only one objective. Visit your private suite on the 13th floor of the Tops. The player would have been able to unlock the High Roller Suite through earning enough wins at the casino, which would have triggered the short quest. Bright and Shiny contains only 2 quest stages. Destroy the 3 Securitron Vault power regulators, and tell Kaiser that the Securitron army is no longer a threat. Judging from the quest stages, Bright and Shiny likely began as a separate quest before becoming incorporated into the Render Under Kaiser questline. Bright and Shiny is mostly complete, but differs from the Render Under Kaiser iteration, as there is no option to trick the Kaiser into thinking that the Securitron Vault was destroyed. Remnants of Catfight exists in bits and pieces, and the overall information pertaining to the content of the quest is relatively little. Based on the title, it could be assumed it involves some sort of squabble between individuals, and with added information gleaned through assumptions and file information, might have been between 2 NCR Rangers. Simply Uncut does reincorporate the mod, adding their own twist.
What? Why? Why are you asking? Did that bitch say something?
Chip Province is what remains of a quest that tracked the ownership of the Platinum Chip. It appears that the courier was able to give the chip to factions, to steal it from said factions, and to return it to other factions. It raises the question of whether or not the player had a wider variety of choice when it came to the final battle of Hoover Dam. From what is left in the code, it appears that, at the time of abandonment, only the followers of the Apocalypse were added in as a 4th possible faction instead of the NCR, House/Independent, and the Legion. The House Always Win questline used to be one singular quest, instead of being broken up into smaller questlines. In the House Always Wins 5, an unused stage gave the courier the option of informing Mr. House that they've negotiated a peaceful solution with the Brotherhood. However, it is not currently possible to negotiate peace between the 2 factions without the assistance of mods. The House Always Wins Lockdown is an unused quest that would have seen the courier kicked out of the Lucky 38 due to misbehavior. It gave the player a few different options for completing the quest, such as killing Mr. House, escaping the Lucky 38, and delivering the chip once the security lockdown expires. Infected Brahmin Meat is a cut quest that would have seen the courier and Siri poisoning the Legionnaire stew and the Legion's mongrels' food bowls at the fort. While script indicates that the poisoning would have killed the Legion mongrels, no script indicates what would have happened to the Legionnaires, though it likely would have killed or made many sick. The Brahmin meat in question is still in the game, able to be picked up at the Ultralux. This NCR Side Quest involves several unused NPCs, and would have started behind the NCR Embassy at the New Vegas Strip. The contents of the quest are unclear, though it would have been followed by 2 more quests that have been left blank in the files. Since the name of the quest is based on the 1957 Elvis Presley song of the same name, and since the King's Gambit directly succeeds the 2 blank quests, I can only assume that the quests involve the NCR/King's relations. While in the game, The Moon Comes Over the Tower has an unused stage that would have seen the courier disabling the Lucky 38's network encryption from the 3 executive consoles. The consoles are located at Camp Golf, H&H Tools Factory, and New Vegas Steel. The March West is a relatively well-known cut quest. In this quest, the Legion would have marched into Novak to make an example of the small settlement. Legionnaires would have stormed across the bridge and massacred Novak. The courier had the option of either helping Novak or assisting the Legion in killing the settlers. Meet of Champions still exists in the game. Rather than a straightforward quest, the Meet of Champions still present in New Vegas is a perk given to the courier upon eating the bodies of Mr. House, Kaisar, President Kimball, and the King. However, a questline of the same name existed earlier in development. At some point in the courier's adventure, they would have been given the task of killing and eating certain named NPCs in the Mojave Wasteland. The quest for finding a new sheriff for the town of Prim has an unusable variable. This variable would have allowed the player to assign a new sheriff to Prim should a pre-selected one be killed at some point. It also appears that selecting an NCR sheriff would have been done through a town petition, as if the sheriff were properly elected. A few post-game changes and quest lines still exist within the GEC, but are unfinished and unimplemented due to the decision to end the game after the final battle at the Leggett's camp. End states for both the Strip and the Mojave at large exist within the quest section of the GEC, but more likely affected character interactions, faction standing, dialogue choices, and so on once the final battle is completed. Freeside at one point also contained a post-endgame content quest. However, as stated, since the game ends after the final battle, no content exists beyond this point. Also cut is the Viva Las Vegas quest, which would have been about the after effects of the Battle of the Hoover Dam.
Hey buddy, spare a cap? I can make it worth your while.
Rotface's full Unmarked Quest, Rotface's Loose Lips, would have seen the character achieve a few possible outcomes from the player's donations. The quest itself stops after Rotface gets the fancy Eulogy Jones's hat. The full quest, which exists in a nearly complete state, would have continued the story until Rotface gained the full attire. From here, the player influences Rotface's future based on his dialogue options. His possible futures include attempting to rob the player in an alley, leaving Freeside in search of fortune, joining the followers of the apocalypse and giving up the newfound life he obtained, or being murdered by a thug in Freeside out of envy of his fortune. An unused variable would have allowed the player to set the Good Springs Bighorners free. Outside of pure chaos, I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of this variable would have been. An unused quest variable would have introduced a bounty hunter into the quest. This bounty hunter would have been hired by Mr. Bishop to track down and kill Bruce Isaac. Tempman appears to be a quest designed for testing purposes relating to the RepCon test site. A test NPC, known as Testman, is attached to this quest, and, curiously enough, has unique dialogue recorded specifically for this quest, despite his creation for testing purposes. In Red Lucy's terminal, there exists a hidden option to turn off the power to the cages and allow the creatures inside to break free. Chaos would ensue as the creatures began attacking all those inside the Thorn and West Side, no doubt including the courier. Unused scripts and dialogues exist for several NPCs, including their reactions and effects on the Wasteland. Unfortunately, time constraints force the option to be cut due to lack of overall polish. Underpass Water Purifier, attached to the cut location Underpass, would have been an unmarked quest that had the player repairing the water purifier intended to be located within the town. It's assumed that another cut character, the mayor, Meg Reynolds, would have initiated the unmarked quest. The player would need 35 repair or 35 science to fix the generator. Two quests exist with the name Welcome to Fabulous New Vegas. The first quest was created for press demonstration purposes to showcase the game engine and gameplay for the press. The second only serves to track dialogue that appears in the game's intro cinematic back when it was an in-game scene, and not the pre-rendered final product. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for watching the video and sticking around until the very end. I appreciate your patience in waiting for this video. I know it has taken me longer than expected, and I do feel guilty for the time it takes between uploads. I plan on working on more uploads on upcoming breaks so that you all have more content available for viewing. The next video will focus on cut characters and cut creatures, so be on the lookout in the hopefully near future for another shorter 10 minutes or so installment. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.